All right, so it's the end of burn season and we had to figure out what we need to do with the torch. So what we recommend is storing the drip torch dry. When you have that diesel fuel and gasoline mixture sitting in your tank for several months in all kinds, different environments, hot, cold, that fuel can do some weird things. It can gel and it can release sediment into the bottom of your tank. And it just creates a headache, so it's just better just to store it dry long term. If you're going to store it for several months, go ahead and store it dry. And if you decide to store it with fuel in it, once you have it put in a place where it's going to live for the next several months, go ahead and crack your vent valve open just a little bit, depending on how much fuel you have in the tank. If you still have a lot of fuel in the tank, if it's heating and cooling throughout the day, over several months, what can actually happen is it can build up a little pressure in the tank and it'll actually push fuel up. And if this is not able to get any air, it will actually push fuel up your vent valve and you'll just have a little bit of fuel. Basically, you'll have a mess. So if you choose to store it with fuel, crack your valve just a little bit. That way the tank can breathe and hopefully prevent a mess. So burn season has come back around and we're pulling our torches out and we need to go through them, do some routine maintenance, check some things, and do some repair if we have to. So the first thing I always do is when I pull that out, if you hold that chain and you shake this, you can hear that check ball in there. If you do not hear that check ball in there, that means that check ball has probably seized up. And I'm gonna show you here in just a second on how to check that and how to repair that. Next thing you need to check, and this is very, very important, this is called a collar gasket, and need to check this to be sure that it hasn't shrunk or it doesn't have any cracks in it or anything like that. And I'm gonna show you why that's important to always have a good gasket, because if you operate one that's cracked, what's going to happen is it's going to leak. And in this particular situation, this torch was operated with a bad collar gasket. Throughout the day, fuel leaked, the whole tank was saturated, and it eventually caught fire. So very important to be sure to have a good collar gasket. We'll get to, or I'll show you how to access this check ball in here. If that check ball is seized up, they're pretty easy to work on. So take something with a fine point on it, and what you do is you get in the belly of one of these, the threading in here, and you just kind of work it down behind that screen, and that screen will pop right out. And take a flathead screwdriver. I think this one's about 1/4 of an inch, and there's a set screw in here, and you can back this set screw out, and be careful not to damage these threads. This is an aluminum cap, so those threads can be damaged. And here's our set screw right here. And there's our check ball. So one of the issues you may encounter is you pull it out and it's plugged up somewhere. It doesn't drip like it's supposed to. So the blockage is probably going to be in this vent valve. I'll show you that real quick. As you can see, it's a really small diameter, so if you store it wet over the, in the off season, you get that sediment, and that sediment can plug that up. So you can take a piece of wire or an air hose and try to blow that out and free that back up. If it's not in that, it's more than likely going to be in here somewhere. Like I said, you pull this out and everything looks like it should. The blockage could be between the cap and the spout right here. So what you can do there is, the easiest way to do it is to put the cap in a vise, and you can take a long handled screwdriver or something long and put it through that fuel trap and turn it off. And like I said, a lot of times it'll have a little bit of trash right there at that meeting between the cap and the spout. Keep in mind, when these are assembled, they have a pipe putty at this connection and this connection. So if you take this off, or if you take this off, be sure to put either some more pipe putty or some of the Teflon tape to make sure you have a good seal. And assembling these is simply just put the ball back in, put your set screw in, and screw it all the way down, just snug it up. When you put your screen back in, I like to flatten them back out, and you just want to center it up over that hole the best you can and push it in there evenly. You want an even space, and I'm not doing a very good job with this one. There we go. All right. And this is important right here. So we've got our screen pushed in. Take your discharge plug and screw it on there, and be sure your discharge plug seats all the way. It engages that O-ring. Sometimes if you don't push that screen all the way in there, it'll catch those threads and it won't seat all the way, and what's going to happen is that torch is going to leak. So just keep that in mind. As far as repair kits, we sell a repair kit that's very popular, and it's going to come with all the common parts that typically need to be replaced over time. But it's got your vent, it's got a collar gasket, it's got a wick, it's got your set screw, your check ball, the screen, and it's got an O-ring for your discharge plug. A very popular kit for us. If you don't want to get into, checking that screen, or checking the screen and the check ball, we do sell it as a complete kit, and what you get when you buy that kit is you get the whole assembly. You get your cap, you get your discharge plug, you get your ball, your set screw, and your screen, as well as a collar gasket. So that's an option for you as well as far as repairing one.